What's up, everybody? Hope everything has been well lately, and today I wanted to go ahead and make a comprehensive guide covering all of the special and elite enemy types in the game. Some of this stuff will seem pretty basic to you more seasoned players, but Treyarch has told us that Cold War has brought the most amount of new players to the Zombies format, so I thought I would share everything there is to know about dealing with these special and elite enemies. You might already know some of this stuff, but stick around until the end, you may learn something new. At the time of this video, Cold War is just starting Season 4, so in the future we may see more special and elite enemies, so once Cold War releases all of its content, I will be coming back and making a part 2, but for right now, let's go ahead and jump right into it. First, we'll go ahead and look at all the special enemies. These enemies are quite different from your average zombies in that they have unique structure, attacks, as well as weaknesses. They can be differentiated from normal zombies on the minimap with their unique devilish looking emblem. Special enemies can also trigger the special effects of upgraded ammo mods, such as being able to be turned by brain rot, shocked by dead wire, or slowed down by cryo freeze. Currently, there are 3 special enemy types in Cold War Zombies. The first one on the list is the Tempest. Introduced in Outbreak, the Tempest is similar to the Avogadro enemies from Black Ops 4. They are crystalline in structure, which covers their entire body in armor. The only attack they have is a ranged lightning attack, and they can also teleport around as well, doing so whenever you get too close to them or if they take too many hits. Even though they are armored, they do have 2 weak points on their body you can take advantage of. First, there is a glowing point on their chest that exposes their weak core that can be shot for regular damage. Their heads are also very susceptible to explosive damage. A carefully placed shot from a launcher, ray gun, or ray K will cause their heads to explode, killing them a few moments later regardless of how much health they have. You can also do additional damage to them if you have the brain rot ammo mod equipped to your weapon. Next on the list we have Manglers. Introduced in Firebase C, these special enemies are also heavily armored. They are slow moving and have a hand cannon on their right hand that fires a blast, and their other hand is equipped with a claw to slash at you if you get too close to them. Shooting their bodies will take a long time to kill them, but eventually you can destroy their armor and deal normal damage to them. Alternatively, you can shoot their hand cannon for normal damage, and destroying the cannon will cause massive, if not lethal, damage. If you do destroy his armor, or if destroying the hand cannon doesn't kill a Mangler, then they will enter a sprint mode and charge at you, so be careful. These enemies in particular are weak to fire, so the Napalm Burst ammo mod, Molotov cocktails, and pools of fire left over by hellhounds will do extra damage to them. And the final special enemy that we have are the Mimics. They were also introduced in Firebase C. The Mimic can be found hiding as a regular object on the ground, disguised as a loot chest, or spawn naturally in some cases, such as during holdouts or other objectives. They boast a good speed stat, with their primary attack focusing on getting close enough to you to grab you with their tentacles and bite at you. They do also have a ranged attack, but I have only seen this in Outbreak when the game is acting up, so you may or may not ever see this yourself. They do not have any armor and have a weak point on their face, so these enemies in general are pretty easily dispatched, especially if you're using the brain rot ammo mod, as they are weak to it as well. Now, with all the special enemies out of the way, we can look at the elite enemies. These enemies are built a lot differently from the special enemies, as they are more tanky and are not susceptible to the effects of upgraded ammo mods, and thus will not be stunned by dead wire or frozen by cryo freeze. Like special enemies, they have a unique marker on the minimap. The icon is the same, but it has a white starburst type logo around it as well. Currently, there are only 2 elite enemy types available in the game, and as I said earlier, there will be a part 2 later down the line once all the enemies have been released at the end of Cold War. The Megaton was the first elite enemy we encountered and was introduced on D Machina. They are not armored, but they do have a massive amount of health. If you're too close, they will charge at you and try to backhand you. Otherwise, occasionally they will charge up orbs of toxic material to toss at you. They do, however, take extra damage to their heads, and having the dead wire ammo mod equipped will do extra damage to them as well. Once you deplete Megaton's health bar, he will become immune to attacks momentarily as he splits in half. These halves are slightly weaker, but have the same attacks and weaknesses. Just keep your distance and take your time, and this enemy is pretty easy to take care of. The second elite that we have in the game is the Krasny Soul. It was introduced in Outbreak, and this elite is similar to the Panzer Soldat we saw in Origins and Der Eisendrache, replacing its electric grenade with a flame grenade, but still boasting a flamethrower for mid-range attacks. They are able to jump around the map freely thanks to the jetpack on their back, attack, which you can actually destroy. Their bodies are covered entirely in armor, but their helmet can be destroyed, exposing their head, which will take extra damage. The Krasny Soul has the most amount of weaknesses out of everything on this list, making it easy to deal with them if you are prepared. First off, they are weak to non-wonder weapon explosive damage such as launchers, war machines, and chopper gunners. They are also weak to shatter blast and cryo freeze ammo mods, making them the only enemy with 2 elemental weaknesses currently. Technically, there is one last category of enemies that, as far as I can tell, don't have an official name, so I will just call them super duper elites, and that is the Orta. Ortas have an emblem similar to elites, but the starburst is much more prominent with more points on it. The Orta has no elemental weaknesses and boasts several different attacks, including slamming or swiping at the ground, firing hellhounds at you, or opening its mouth to release waves of bugs that will swarm and attack you. If you can manage to get Orta to open its mouth, you can shoot it there to do massive damage. Otherwise, you just have to keep going until you kill him. Up until about round 7 or 8, the DIE Electrobolt will actually decimate him very quickly. I made a video covering that recently, so go ahead and check that out if you haven't yet. Some other important tips about special enemies are how they are affected by power-ups in the game. If an insta-kill is active, then all the special and elite enemies will take extra damage. And here's a bonus pro tip: if insta-kill is active, your field upgrade will not recharge until it's gone. They are also susceptible to nukes. If they are at full health, it will do a significant amount of damage to them, and if they are low enough in health, the nuke can actually kill them. The last tip I have for you is this. In Outbreak, there are 3 specific locations in every region that elite enemies have a chance to spawn. It took me a while to notice that there was a pattern, but I will go ahead and go over each of those spots now. I figured this would be useful for those who want to hunt down every elite in hopes of getting good loot, and also good for those of you who don't want any extra conflict, and now you know what parts of the map you need to avoid in general. Alright, so real quick, let's just go over these. I've noticed that on every map, there's about 4 places that these elite enemies will spawn in pretty consistently. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave these screenshots up on the screen for you for about 10 seconds and pause the video if you need to. Otherwise, you can join my Discord community where I do post stuff like this into the server for you guys to have access to download to your phones or whatever. The only map that had any inconsistencies to it was Zoo. You'll see that coming up here in just a second, but the only place I've ever gotten an elite enemy to spawn in on a regular basis is over in the polar bear exhibit where you do the defense objective sometimes. So if you guys have ever seen them spawn in regularly in some other places on Zoo, please go ahead and put that down in the comments below so that everybody else can see that. Otherwise, I want to give a huge shout out to Chop Simp, who actually took these screenshots and he uses them to make different content with them and let me have access to them. I was not able to duplicate these screenshots the same way that he was able to, so without his help, we would have kind of been stuck without this. So let's go ahead and give that man a big round of applause. But anyways, that's it from me today. I hope you guys all learned something new, and if you made it this far, then thank you for watching. Let me know what you guys think about this guide down below in the comments, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.